Hey guys, this is Sean Manaher with bookmarketingtools.com. Welcome you to the video edition of your weekly email tips for authors. So today we're going to be talking about blog tours. What are they? How you can get them started, and the 12 different steps. Yeah, that's 12 steps that you can use or you can do in order to set up a effective blog tour in 2015. And since that is a lot of steps, we're going to be covering this over a couple of videos, might be 2 or 3 that we're going to be doing this. And I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes so that when I hit 15, it's done and you don't have to listen for a full hour of me going through these tips and these ideas for blog tours. So here we go. Let's get started. A blog tour is simply a virtual tour of your book tour. Book tours are those, I'm not sure if you've ever done one, where you go around to different bookstores or venues in order to get the word out about your book that has recently been released or released or updated. And you're trying to gain branding, PR, visibility, trying to get buzz all about your book so that you can connect with readers and also hopefully sell more books. And so what this is doing, instead of doing a book tour offline where you're meeting people physically, a blog tour is that virtual connection and work that you're doing in order to get PR, buzz, and information out so that you can connect with readers and sell more books. And now I'm going to go over the 12 different areas that we're going to be focused on in this video series for your Tuesday email tips video edition. So the first thing we're going to be covering is talking about having an amazing product to begin with. What does it take in order to have a great blog tour? Well, we're going to be talking about having an amazing product to begin with. The next thing we're going to cover is blog tour goals. From there, we're going to talk about your schedule in your blog tour. Then we're going to be talking about the number of blogs. Do you want to connect with 12, 21, 42, 84? How many do you want to connect with? From there, we're going to be talking about a very important area, researching blogs to find the right blogs to be connected with. From there, we're going to be talking about communication and materials. What are the exact things that you need to be sending out, and what time do you need to be sending them so that you can effectively get connected with the right people? And then throughout the entire process of doing a blog tour, you want to make sure that you have the communication and materials already pre-planned so you're ready, set, and go. From there, we're going to be talking about content for the blogs. You've connected with the bloggers through your research. You're already scheduling them, but what are you going to share with them? What kind of content? So we'll talk about that. I'm going to be looking at platforms, what to use and how to use them. So there's lots of platforms that you can get the word out about your blog tour and doing the blog tour. Well, what are they and how can you connect with them and how do you use them properly? From there, we're going to be talking about giveaways with your blog tour. Going to be talking about the book tour launch party. How can you connect a book tour launch party with your blog tour to really gain effective reach and connection with your readers and hopefully book sales? From there, we're going to be talking about the pitfalls of blog tours. There are a lot of things and a lot of issues that can happen, a lot of struggles that can happen throughout the entire process. We're going to be talking about them so that you can avoid them and do an effective job at your blog tour in 2015. Finally, we're going to be talking about resources. This is going to be the list of all the resources that I used in order to research and put together this video series for you. From there, let's get started. The first thing we're going to be talking about is going to be having an amazing product to begin with. The 3 areas that we're going to be focused on in this are the content, the structure, and the cover of your book. So content, it should be obvious, but if you're going to set up a blog tour, then you want to make sure that the content that you have created is actually going to relate well and is actually worth a blogger posting on their website. I know this might sound obvious and you're like, well, of course, Sean, but the reality is that make sure that the content that you've produced really connects and is your best foot forward in setting up a blog tour. You want to make sure that you've done a great job at writing a great book, making sure that the character development has been done really well, making sure that all the plots and all the themes throughout make sense? Have you done an effective job at relating the readers to the story so that they really get a feel for everything that's going on in your book? So you want to make sure that the content itself is done really well. Have you checked with your if your ARC team, your advanced review copy team? What is their feedback? What are they thinking about your book? Is it coming off the way you want it to come off? From there, structure, grammar, spelling, all of this should be taken care of well in advance of you setting up a blog tour. That is, we're going to get there in a second, talking about when should you start your blog tour schedule. But it's really important that if you're going to write a book, and create something amazing, that you take the time to have it reviewed by an editor, somebody that is really hones in on the book so that it is the best book that you can produce, so you can create an effective blog tour at the same time. The worst thing that you could do in this process is get reviews back that your spelling, grammar, and structure is not where it needs to be. That's the first line of defense of a good offense in creating a great blog tour for 2015. So the final thing, which is one of those subjective pieces that it is hard to focus in and know if this is what you should do, is your cover. And I would say know what you should do, but really ask yourself and ask other people if your cover is really good. And you can do this. And even if you're embarrassed to ask your friends and family, what you can do is use a service through Amazon called Mechanical Turk. And you can actually ask individuals, give them 2 images of your book covers, maybe one before and one after of getting a cover design, to determine which is the best book cover. And it doesn't even have to be that much. You don't even have to use a service. Just ask your friends and family. Ask them to honestly tell you whether or not your cover really connects and whether or not it is a good job done. In this, again, I recommend that you pay for the service that you need in order to get the best book cover out there. Yes, you can go to Fiverr and you can get $5 book covers, but I would recommend that you use other services with those that do this not at a rate that might tend to be not only seemed, but is cheapened. And so you want to make sure that you create a cover that really connects. And if you're going to pay for it, find somebody that really is worth their money. And hey, you don't have to spend a lot in order to get a great cover. You don't have to spend $1,000. Yes, there are people that charge $1,000 for a book cover, and it may well be worth it. But consider the cost and make sure that you have a great cover. These all focus in on having an amazing product to begin with. And if you have an amazing product to begin with, like I'm saying, you're going to have a great book tour to begin with. The next thing we're going to be talking about is goals. There are 4 specific things I want to talk about with blog tour goals. The first thing is being realistic. Next is being specific. From there, baselining your sales. From there, measuring your blog tour success. So the first thing, being realistic. If you're selling 5 books a day, going to 5,000 books a day is unrealistic. You want to make sure that if you say, I'm going to go from 5 books to 100%, I want to sell 10 books a day. Hey, that might be a realistic goal. And then you have to determine from there if it's financially feasible and reasonable in order to buy a service, or in order to do blog tours for the next time. But you really want to determine and be specific, be realistic around those goals so that you're not setting yourself up for emotional upheaval in your blog tour not being as successful. Rather, it might be a better thing to be realistic in setting your goals for your blog tour. The next thing is being specific. Be specific around saying, I want to go from 50 to 100 book sales with this blog tour. And the reason why that's important is because having a goal really can drive you towards success in being being determined in order to get that goal. Don't let yourself up if up from it. If your goal is 200 and you're at 150 and you're trying to figure out, well, 150 is okay. No, go for it. Go for the 200 book sales in a day, and figure out what you need to do in order to sell 200 books through your blog tour. And I guarantee that you're going to come closer to your goal of hitting the 200 than if you just set back and are okay with that 150. From there, I would recommend, if you're doing all this blog touring stuff, make sure you baseline your sales. What do I mean by that? What I mean is simply going to your KDP dashboard or your Smashwords dashboard, whatever platforms you use, or you can use Book Marketing Tools dashboard in order to track your sales on a daily, weekly, or monthly, quarterly basis. From there, you determine, okay, I'm selling 5 books in a given day. That is a snapshot before the blog tour starts, and that'll give you an idea of the effectiveness of the blog tour by taking a snapshot then 2 weeks after you've run your blog tour to say, wow, I went from 5 books to a day to 25 books during the period of having this blog tour running for 2 weeks. Wow, that might be effective depending on the royalties that you're making and how much you're selling your book for during that period of time. So really consider making sure that you baseline your sales results. And this also goes in line with the final thing of measuring your blog tour success. I want you to think in setting up your blog tour with the end in mind. Think about your blog tour not in terms of what's happening each and every day, but think of it in terms of what is the end result? How many sales in total do you really want? What kind of engagement do you want happening on your blog tour? What kind of reviews in terms of the star review as well as the number of reviews do you want done? How many mentions do you want on Twitter? What about Facebook? You don't have to go into minute detail here, but it's really important to think about what are the end results in setting up a blog tour, in establishing specific goals throughout at this stage early on that determine whether or not your blog tour has been a success. So for you, maybe a successful blog tour is one that has 0 engagement, that you say, I don't want to talk to people. I just want them to buy my book. If that's something that's important to you, just selling books, then go for it. Then just ignore the engagement piece. But if engagement is important to you and hearing from your readers, then make sure you include that as part of the process of setting up your goals for your blog tour. So again, goals for a blog tour, we're talking about being realistic, being specific, baselining your sales results through Amazon KDP or the bookmarketingtools.com dashboard, and then finally measuring your blog tour so that you can determine success. The next thing we're going to be talking about is scheduling. It's probably one of the most important aspects of the blog tour. You're going to hear me say that a lot, that almost every one of these 12 areas that I'm talking about is most important. But it really is important to schedule out your blog tour so that you have something that is effective. The first thing we're talking about is determining the length of the tour. The second thing is starting your blog tour work before your book is published. The final thing is tracking, scheduling, and staying organized. So the first thing, determining your length of the tour. This is really the chicken before the egg. Which is it? Because you can determine how many blogs you want to be on, how many blogs, and that'll determine the length of the blog tour. Or you can indicate the length of the blog tour and then determine how many blogs you want to be on. Let me talk about this. It's recommended that on a given day, you're going to have 1 to 2 blogs that you're going to be on so as not to be spammy or anything like that. So with that said, if you have a week-long blog tour, you're going to have 7 to 14 blogs that you're connected with. This is a numbers game. So if you start with 7 to 14 that you need to connect with, well, obviously you need to reach out to more people in order to get a 7 to 14, because 100% of the people are not going to be interested in you just because the way things are. And it does take, some people may not have the time at that time. All of this plays a role. So you want to determine, okay, if I want a 2-week blog tour, 3-week or 6-week, well, then your numbers will play out. If you want a 6-week blog tour, Well, that's going to mean that you're going to have between 42 and 84 blogs that you need to reach out to. So you need to decide if that's enough, if you have enough time, or if you have enough energy in order to reach out to that many people. So the next thing is start before your book is published. You really want to make sure that you are deciding this ahead of time, that you're going to start, or sorry, I should say, you should really prepare ahead of time so that you can have an effective blog tour. Most of the services, if you go down the paid route, are going to be asking 1.5 to 2 months time frame or a notice so that they can set up and have your blog tour done effectively. 1.5 to 2 months. Most bloggers are at least going to be asking a month or two for you to give them so that they're prepared. And you're going to want at least a month or two to be prepared in order to write all this content that you're going to have to write. So I recommend that in parallel to publishing your book and getting that all finalized and written, that you start a blog tour. You start the work in order to prepare your blog tour. I, in fact, would recommend 3 months, so the 2 to 3 month time frame, so that you start your blog tour, the work and the research and connecting with the bloggers and all the whole process that you're going to be working through over these next 12 steps in order to do an effective blog tour. I think you need that much time, so make sure you give yourself enough time with that. Final thing, in a really vital piece of this, is tracking, scheduling, and staying organized throughout the entire process of your blog tour. You're going to have a lot of people that you're connecting with. You're going to have a lot of social media interactions. You're going to have a lot of email going back and forth. You're going to be connecting with 7 to 84 different bloggers or more if you want to go crazy. That's a lot of people and a lot of connections to manage. Make sure, if you're doing this by yourself and you're not paying for the service, that you really keep yourself organized. Keep your file folders on your desktop, or if you have a notepad that you're keeping everything organized with, make sure you stay organized, because this can become a hot mess real quick if you don't give yourself and keep yourself organized throughout the entire process. So under scheduling, again, reminder, we talked about determining the length of the blog tour, whether or not you wanted to decide based on the weeks or based on the blogs. It really depends on you. So you want to start with start before the book is published. And finally, let's remember, stay organized under tracking, scheduling, and organizing this entire blog tour. This is the end of the first video for how to set up a blog tour effectively in 2015. Wait for in a couple weeks when you're going to get another video talking about the next steps that you can take in order to create an effective and amazing blog tour in 2015. Thanks, and please let me know what you think about this video, whether or not you like this style of a video email marketing tip. It's about 15, almost 20 minutes now. Hope you enjoyed it. Give me some feedback, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.